You now need $5 million just to live a normal life, what's known as the base American dream, not a life of luxury. Also, today I'll share with you perhaps the most depressing and concerning chart you've ever seen in your life. This is dire stuff, an urgent crisis, because few can meet that $5 million threshold. In fact, more people are going backwards, mired in financial ruin. We're going to look at why. I mean, I've personally talked to people like food servers and baristas that divulge to me that they're living in their car. And you might not know it, but chances are people that you regularly interact with are now living in their cars, and they just present themselves to you normally. Also, priced out of housing, 500,000 Americans live full-time in tiny RVs. We'll look at video footage of that. Homelessness is up 18%. I mean, it's terrible. Stick around until the end of this video because I'm talking about how in the world did this get to even be America here in the 21st century? Just how bad is it and how much worse will it get? Also, is there anything that can be done about this death of the American dream? And I'll define just what that means. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold, Get Rich Education founder, Forbes Real Estate Council member, longtime real estate investor, and see my work in the USA Today. And today, mobile homes are even being coveted. I mean, that is affordable housing. And yeah, priced out of homes, 486,000 Americans now live full-time in RVs, many not by choice. The more soul-crushing part of that is that that number has doubled just since 2021, and I've got astonishing video footage of that to share with you later today. The homelessness that's up 18%, that is a year-over-year number, and that is per HUD, Housing and Urban Development. They've got the best stat set on this. It's increasingly visible in your city. And yeah, I've personally gotten into more than just surface level chats with those food servers and baristas that divulge that they're living in their car. And by the way, they often tell me that within 5 minutes of chatting. It also sort of makes me wonder if they're freely telling me that just to get a tip from me. But in any case, the reasons for this decline in the very American standard of living is really rooted in three main reasons: inflation, higher home prices and rents, and higher mortgage rates, all crushing affordability. And in the first one, it's really that fact that inflation has outpaced wage growth. That's the crux of the problem. Yeah, this $5 million price tag for living the American dream today, what does that really mean? And then we'll add up the spending categories. It means owning a home, raising kids, retiring comfortably, and maybe throwing in an annual vacation or two. Well, the median lifetime earnings for one American with a bachelor's degree is $2.8 million. But to get to that exact $5 million total, which is the least that you now need in net worth today, Investopedia added up the estimated lifetime costs of 8 milestones that Americans do often associate with the dream. Here they are with the price for each: retirement, healthcare, owning a home, raising 2 children and paying for college, owning a car, yearly vacation, pets, and a wedding. And I hope that wedding is singular, not weddings, plural, but let's look at this some more. And of course, each person's dream is different and housing costs differ nationally. You might think $900K sounds like too much for a car over your life. Yeah, but with financing, some people pay more in interest than principal, and there's insurance and maintenance costs and more. And inflation makes future car costs run up, just like it does for all the other spending categories. But let's talk about housing, because that is the biggest part of the dream. The lifetime cost is $957K. It was $930K just a year ago. The national median list price of a single-family home is about $430K. And of course, most people live in multiple homes throughout their lives. The price per square foot is up 50% just since 2019. But here's what's appalling. And this isn't even the most depressing and concerning chart you've ever seen in your life yet. Visual Capitalist calls it late to the ladder, this delay to climbing the ladder of upward mobility through homeownership. First-time homebuyers now have a record high age of 38. 38. What's amazing is that just last year, this number was age 35 and 36 the year before that. But yeah, 38 today. This is sourced from the National Association of Realtors and their data. Well, that number was 30 back in 2010, and back in the 1980s, the Ronald Reagan era, it was 27. So 27 then to 38 now. But consider that's just the average first-time home buyer age. I mean, in high-cost coastal markets, the average is probably closer to the 40s. I mean, in populous areas, first-time home buyers in their 40s, that is common. So increasingly, people become grandparents before they ever own a home. Are we talking about then owning an AARP card first and then a home sometime after that, or what? I mean, is this not mind-boggling? And the legal minimum age to own a home is 18 in most states. I mean, people are exasperated. If that's not enough, are you ready? Here we go. This could be the most depressing and concerning chart you've ever seen in your entire life. And now what do you think of as sort of a model for someone that's stable and on a good trajectory? Well, how about both married and a homeowner? I mean, yeah, those are two big markers. Married and a homeowner, foundational stuff. I mean, the future of the nation, children and household formation material right there. Well, by age 30, how many people do you think are married and a homeowner today? And how has that changed over time? Here it is. This is the percent of 30-year-olds who are both married and homeowners in the US. In 1950, it was 52%. Today, it's just a quarter of that. Only 13% of American 30-year-olds are married homeowners. I mean, gosh, it doesn't exactly give you hope for the future. I've got more appalling material to share with you on the death of the American dream. Hey, first go ahead and put a like on the video if you like how I'm breaking it down. I really appreciate the thumbs up despite the depressing topic today. Well, since owning a home is a key pillar of the American dream, the best thing that our local, state, and federal lawmakers can do is make it easier to build new housing. And something that we can do is not protest or block every new development. I mean, I shared with you earlier that almost 500,000 Americans have now got to live full-time in an RV since they can't afford a permanent home. NBC covered this. It is sad. Let's take a look at just how squalid the living conditions are, quickly profiling two people, learning about why they live there. And I mean, this is America today, and this isn't even in a high-cost part of the nation.
For Gus Francis, this is home. A 20-year-old camper he bought for $5,000, parked in an RV lot in Graysville, Tennessee, just north of Chattanooga.
I got all my rosaries for protection everywhere. Books.
Now retired, he worked for decades as a commercial diver and hoped to live closer to his widowed mother. But when he sought a more conventional home,
I just can't see how people with a normal job making $15 an hour can afford an apartment without multiple roommates.
Are you able to use this for now or no?
No, I don't use it at all. I eat a lot of soup.
Yeah, soup is great.
meals are made in the microwave, the stove unused for fear of a gas leak. Right next door is Debbie Williams.
Welcome to my house. Over here's the grandkids, see?
Oh, cute, yeah.
And that's Seven's
the littlest one.
Yeah.
She sold her house in Kentucky to be closer to her grandchildren, but housing prices near Chattanooga increased by almost 50% since 2020.
Apartments are like about $1,200 a month, but then you got your utilities to pay. This is permanent, plus it include it's like $550 a month, includes electric, water.
So you're saving over
and
50%.
Trash too, everything. It includes everything.
Debbie works nights, helping adults with disabilities, and says she likes her setup. even if the exercise bike doesn't fit inside.
From the
Bathroom,
hallway.
yeah.
Okay.
I like my shower. It's really nice. And then my bedroom.
Debbie and Gus now among the nearly 500,000 people in the U.S. living in RVs full time.
I sometimes thought, man, if I could have saved more money in the past, but what it was is I don't blame myself either because I raised 4 kids with no child support.
Despite the tight quarters, plenty of room to build a community that matters.
Gosh, cramped and modest conditions there. And, you know, these are American workers that have been productive people, too. Did you consider that? I mean, the first guy, Gus, he says that he worked for decades as a commercial diver. Inflation is really a central contributor to all of this. The price of almost everything is up, whether it's housing or beef or a haircut or even a bag of flamin' hot Cheetos. I mean, everything. It's because the government keeps printing so much money. That's actually the root cause. And here we can see that inflation, it has come down from its recent peak of 9.1% in 2022, but it's remained elevated above the 2% inflation target that the Fed desires. They just can't get it down. And let's be real, that's the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, reported by the government's Bureau of Labor Statistics. And these official inflation numbers, oh geez, they're like Instagram filters. They're shaved down, touched up, and airbrushed. The true rate of inflation, it could be double those numbers. I mean, the government massages them with tricks like hedonics. This wave of inflation, you know, that has already widened the distance between the haves and the have-nots, like the Grand Canyon, eviscerating much of the middle class. And now the powers that be are setting up a scenario for another wave of elevated long-term inflation because they're cutting interest rates. Well, that incentivizes people to borrow and spend, which stokes even more future inflation. That's why this is dire. Look, the generation coming of age today, Generation Z, that is the first one since George Washington to have it worse off than their parents. They had the lowest homeownership rate at the same age. They're the poorest. It leaves them directionless, anxious, depressed, addicted, and worse. And you know, inflation really is a root contributor to all this. And another thing that doesn't help is the lack of available homes. Let's look at that. Pay attention to the black line. That is today's available housing inventory for sale. All right, so it's up off the bottom for this cycle. You can see that bottom was in 2022 because we have done some building since then, but overall we are still undersupplied. Historically, this number needs to be 1.5 million or more, which is above and off this chart. But here's what's really concerning. Look at the appallingly small number of starter homes being built. I shared this with you elsewhere, but it's a key part of this death of the American dream here. Starter homes were a 40% share of all new homes constructed back in the early 80s, but just 9% today. Yeah, fewer than 1 in 10 homes built today are starter homes, those affordable ones defined as 1,400 square feet or less. And that's because builders find it more profitable to build upper end and luxury homes, not the affordable starters. And this is a big part of the problem. Well, what we can do, and what I personally do, is that we can relieve the affordability crunch by owning and providing rental housing to people, helping drive demand for builders to build that affordable housing. That is what they need. Provide renters with clean, safe, and functional places to live so that it's not slumlording. Because look, you are helping them, since in a lot of markets, renting is less expensive for them than owning. And your tenant can avoid having to make that insurmountable down payment of, say, 20% on a home that they're just not going to be able to come up with. And us, the real estate investors, can be virtuous profiteers because we get paid 5 ways at the same time with income property, like I teach here at Get Rich Education. So solve other people's problems and add an income stream to your life. For anyone that owns workforce rental property, the same type that we've always emphasized around here, you're sitting on an asset class that's going to remain stubbornly in demand. So therefore, amidst this persistent affordability constraint and continued inflation, who are the winners and losers? Well, the losers are going to be anyone not owning assets and savers clutching their dollars as they quietly melt in their hand like ice cubes in July. And who are the future winners going to be? Asset owners riding the inflation wave. Mortgage debtors who get to pay back tomorrow with cheaper dollars while your tenant makes the ongoing payment for you. So rather than the big institutional buyers like BlackRock gobbling up all the rental property, you can do this. And we offer free coaching. We show you exactly how to do just that, even which specific property addresses make the best rentals across America at greinvestmentcoach.com. If you didn't grab enough real assets during the last wave of inflation, don't get left behind this time. At GRE, we advocate really simply for doing it all at once. Use debt to own real assets while your rent is the income stream. And inflation cannot touch the mortgage payment on your rental property. It's kind of like a mosquito buzzing against a window. That payment continues to stay fixed. The American dream is dying, and you learned why. But to follow up on this, I want to talk to you more. What's the future of home prices in America? Watch that here.